All right, if you've been anywhere near BookTok lately, or, any book corner of the internet, you have definitely heard the buzz, the roar really, around Rebecca Yarros' massive hit, Fourth Wing. So today, we're going to break it all down. We're going to get into exactly what is behind all that hype. I mean, right out of the gate, you see reviews calling it a combustible mix of adrenaline, heartbreak, and dragonfire. Wow, that's a pretty big promise, right? So the real question is, does it actually live up to all that hype? Well, let's find out.
So yeah, why is everyone talking about this book? In the next few minutes, we're going to dig into what makes it so dang addictive, a few things that might not work for everyone, and, hopefully help you figure out if it should be your next read. Okay, first things first, let's get into the story. Don't worry, this is a totally spoiler-free look. So, what's Fourth Wing all about? In a nutshell, it just throws you headfirst into this really brutal world of war, ambition, and, oh yeah, dragons.
So, let's meet our main character, Violet Sorrengail. Now, she was all set to be a quiet scholar, live a life of the mind. But instead, she gets forced into this absolutely vicious training program for dragon riders. And the goal here, it's not just to graduate, no, it's literally to survive. What you get is this incredible mix of personal growth, a super tense slow burn romance, and this terrifying but also amazing process of bonding with a dragon.
Okay, so why has this book just completely captured everyone? What's the secret sauce here? Well, it really boils down to 5 key things that, when you put them together, make it impossible to put down.
All right, here they are, the 5 pillars holding up all this hype. You've got a super high-stakes world, a hero you just can't help rooting for, danger that feels incredibly real, dragons that actually matter, and a romance that is all about the friction. So let's dive into each one.
First up, the world itself. Let me tell you, the Basgiath War College, it's not like any school you've ever imagined. This isn't Hogwarts. Here, failing a test doesn't just get you a bad grade. It gets you killed. And the book makes you feel that threat on every single page. And that's really the core of what we call high-stakes world building. What it means is the author sets up these clear, totally unforgiving rules. And because of that, you get this constant, nail-biting tension. It forces the story to move at just a breakneck pace, because really, there's no time to relax. Something absolutely vital is always on the line. All right, number 2, a hero you can really root for. Let's talk about Violet. She is not your typical sword-wielding fantasy hero. Not at all. In a world that's all about brute strength, everyone sees her as weak, as fragile. But it's her grit, her cleverness, that makes her so compelling. And this quote just hits the nail on the head. She's not some polished hero. She's exhausted, she's terrified, she's angry, but she is so tenacious. And that vulnerability? That's what makes her growth feel so believable, so earned. Okay, number 3, the danger is something you can actually feel. The book is just so visceral. It doesn't sugarcoat anything. It doesn't pull any punches when it comes to the brutal reality of training and combat. I mean, you feel the exhaustion, the pain, the blood. It makes every single victory feel so hard-won because you know exactly what would have happened if they'd lost. And of course, the dragons. We have to talk about the dragons. Look, these are not just, giant, fire-breathing lizards that show up when the plot needs them. No way. They are fully fledged characters, they're sarcastic, they're ancient, they're wise, and they are fiercely protective. They have their own motivations that literally shape the story, and it makes those dragon bonding scenes some of the best moments in the entire book.
And last but definitely not least, the romance. We're talking a classic enemies to lovers story here, and all of its power, it comes from the friction. It is a true slow burn, built on things like grudging respect, really complicated power dynamics, and just so much baggage. The chemistry is absolutely off the charts, and it really becomes the emotional heart of the whole story.
Okay, so we've talked about all the good stuff, all the addictive parts. But to give you the full picture, let's talk about a few things you should probably know before you dive in. Now, these aren't really flaws, but they are definitely a matter of taste. So, here's the deal. First off, the intensity in this book is just relentless. It's brutal, it's violent, it's emotionally heavy. If you're looking for some light, cozy fantasy to escape into, this is not that book. And at the same time, it definitely leans into some familiar ideas, the brutal academy, the enemies to lovers thing. If you love those tropes, awesome, you'll be right at home. But if you're kind of tired of them, you might find some parts a little predictable. And just a couple of other quick heads-ups for you. First, the pacing can feel a little spiky. Sometimes the story pours all its energy into the action or into the romance, and some of the other side plots can feel a little, well, left behind. And second, a little content warning here. The story does get into some pretty heavy emotional stuff, like manipulation, control, and trauma, and that could be triggering for some people.
So, after all that, what's the bottom line? Is Fourth Wing the right book for you? Let's pull this all together for the final verdict. Okay, let's break it down nice and simple. Who's gonna love this book? Well, if you're a fan of stuff like Red Rising or A Court of Thorns and Roses, you are probably going to devour this. If you get excited about high-stakes academy stories with deadly consequences, and you love romance-heavy plots with dragons that are actual characters, yeah, this is for you. Now, who might want to skip it? If you are looking for something low-stress or maybe a cozy fantasy, this ain't it. And if you're uncomfortable with really explicit violence or emotional manipulation, you might want to steer clear.
So, our final rating is a really solid 4 out of 5. Look, it does exactly what it promises to do. And it does it with this incredible, raw energy. It's not subtle, not by a long shot, but for its target audience, people who love intense, character-driven fantasy romance, it is an absolute, non-stop thrill ride.
So really, there's only one question left for you. Are you ready for the ride? Are you ready to step into the brutal, exhilarating, and completely unforgettable world of the Basgiath War College?